Hello and welcome again to Edusathi. Continuing the topic of arithmetic for GRE and GMAT, we'll be moving on to part 4 and we'll be discussing the topic of percentage and interest in the following presentation. So let's start with percentage. Percent in its simplest form means per cent. That means per 100. That means out of 100, what is the value? If I take my base to be 100, what is the value then? So percent means per 100, what is the value? Or hundreds, what is the value per 100 out of? So if I look at a 40% thing, 40% means I've got 40 out of 100. So out of 100, it is 40. So if I divide it with 100, I will get a fractional form. To get a number into a fractional form, form a percentage form, divide it with 100. If I simplify them in a simplest form and I write it as 2 by 5, that also is known as a fractional form. When I divide numerator with the denominator and write the number in a form of 0.4, that form is known as a decimal form. So the same thing can be represented in a percentage form, divided with 100, that will be written in a fractional form, and solve it completely and write it in a decimal form. So to remove the percentage sign, I'll have to divide it with 100, and to convert it back into percentage, I'll multiply it with 100. So if I want to convert it from a fraction into percentage form, I'll multiply it with 100, and to convert it into a fraction from percentage, I'll divide it with 100. By definition, percent, you'll have to remember, means per 100. What is the value per 100? So let's look at an example. A merchant made a profit of 5 on the sales of a sweater that cost the merchant 15. What is the profit expressed as a percent of merchant's cost? Give your answer to the nearest whole percent. So my answer has to be the nearest whole percent. Now if I look at it, if the cost was 15, the profit was 5. So this is the cost, this is the profit. If the cost is 1, the profit is 5 by 15. If the cost is 100, the profit is 5 over 15 into 100. So I'm just applying the unitary method. Why I've done 100? Because I'm finding it as percent. Percent means per 100. If the cost is 15, I'm getting 5 profit. If the cost is 100, how much is the profit that I will get? So 5 by 15, 3, 100 by 3, this is 33.33. My answer will be in percent. Per 100, the profit that I'm getting is 33.33. And my answer has to be nearly whole percent. So the answer that I will write will be 33%. Even if you want to follow the formula, you can follow the formula as the profit that you make over the cost price into 100. So this formula has been worked out from this example. Even if you don't remember the formula, that is perfectly alright. You just need to understand the concept of percent. That means per 100, what is the profit that you are making. The next question that we have is, an investment in a mutual fund increased by 12% in a single day. Okay, by 12% in a single day. If the value of the investment before the increase was 1300, what is the value after the increase? So now look at it. The increment has been 12 on 100. If the base is 100, the increment is 12. And if the base is 1300, the increment would be this much. So if I just multiply these things, I'm getting 156. So the formula, if you want to remember, the formula that you can do is, you have the value in percentage, you've converted it into fraction. Percentage has been converted into fraction into 1300 because the profit has been made on the last day's investment. So 156 is the profit. So the value after increase is 1300 plus 156. So my answer will be 1456. I'll write the value 1456. So 12% increment has been in this. Just find out the value of the 12%, add it to 1300, and there you are getting your answer. So this is an important table that we have. You can remember the table if you want. However, you already have a calculator with you, so there's no actually too much benefit that you will gain if you use if you remember this as well. But still, if you want to, this will provide you additional edge. 1 means 100%. If I write 50%, that means I'm actually talking about half of a thing. 50 by 100, 1 by 2. 33.33, that means I'm talking about 1/3 of a thing. 25 divided by 100 gives me an answer of 1 by 4. 20% is equivalent of 1/5 of anything, or 20% of anything means 1 is the same thing. 16.66% is also equivalent of 1 by 6th. 14.2%, 1 by 7th. 1 by 8th can also be written as 12.5. 1 by 9th can also be written as 11.11. 1 by 10th is 10%. 1 by 11 is 9.09. And so on. So if you want to remember, you can remember the things. However, you already have a calculator with you. So you can remember the formula for percentage change. The formula will be final value minus the initial value, which will give me the increment in the numerator, divided by your initial value into 100. Because my answer has to be in percentage sum, so this will be multiplied with 100 to give me the answer. Let's look at an example. If the quantity increases from 600 to 750, that means this is your base value, or this is your initial value, this is your final value. So an increment has been of 150, and this increment is on the initial value of 600. So if I have to write the things in percentage, it will be 150 over 600. That means if the base was 600, my increment is 150. If the base is 1, my increment is 150 over 600. If the base was 100% out of 100, the increment would have been into 100. So if I just solve this thing out, I would get my answer, which will be 25%. Let's talk about successive percentage change now. As the name suggests, it is not a single percentage change, it is percentage change over a percentage change. So I'm doing a percentage change numerous times. So if I take, for example, 2 changes, if I first increase or decrease the thing by A% and again do an increase of B%, then the effective change would not be A plus B, but the effective change would be A plus B plus AB by 100. This will be an additional change that will be done because of the successive change. So let's take an example and understand the concept. The monthly enrollment at a preschool decreased by 8% during 1 month and increased by 6% during the next month. What was the cumulative percentage change for these 2 months? Now if I look at it, for this 8%, my base would be a previous month. And for this 6%, the base would be the value which will be at the end of month 1. So the bases for the 2 are different. I cannot just add them up and get to my answer. So I will have to introduce a base equalization factor and get to my answer. An easy way of doing this would be, just assume the things to be 100. Let 100 be the monthly initial enrollment. And there's been a decrease of 8%. So 8% on 100, that means 8 has fallen down. The new value would be 92. Now an increment of 6% has happened on 92 and not 100. So 6% on 92, if I just calculate it up and add it to a 92, results in 97.52. So actually from 100 to the value of 97.52, there's been an overall decrease of 2.48%. This is how I just do it, theoretically by assuming the value to be 100. However, if you remember the formula, you can skip all these steps and just do A is minus 8 because it is a decrement. B is plus 6. So this will be A plus B plus AB. Now plus 1 is minus and another is plus. So this will give you an answer of this thing. So if you just look at it, this will be minus 2 minus 0.48. So my total answer will be minus 2.48%. That is the answer that I end up with. I cannot work upon simply minus 8 and plus 6 because the bases are different. So I'll have to either follow the formula or I'll have to do it stepwise. Now let's look at the concept of simple interest. Simple interest, as the name suggests, is very simple, as the interest that you will get will always be on the initial principal that you started up with. So whatever is the initial principal that you are getting up, you are getting interest every year on the same principal. And if the rate does not change, the interest is same for every year. So the interest for the first year will be equal to the interest for the second year, will be equal to interest for the third year, and so on. So the total simple interest for t years would be P into R into T by 100, where P into R by 100 is the interest for 1 year. Multiplied by t years, you will get the formula P into R into T by 100, where P is the initial principal that you started your investment with. R is the rate of interest, and this rate of interest is expressed in percentage term. For example, you're getting 10% every year. You're getting 12% every year. So that means if you deposit 100 rupees, you'll get 10 more. So if you deposit P rupees, you'll get this much more. So this is in percentage time. This T, time period, is in years. So P into R into T by 100. However, if the interest you are getting is not a yearly interest, you are getting it every half year or quarter or monthly or weekly or daily, then this T number of years has to be divided with N. The value of N would vary depending upon the depending upon the interest frequency. This N is the number of periods in a year. So if I'm talking about half yearly, you have 2 half years in a year. So the rate that you have, this rate is a per annum rate, and therefore this time has to be altered in a way so that you can make an adjustment. So it will be P into R into T divided by N. This N is 1 if you are making a yearly interest payment. And the total amount that you will get would be your initial principal plus the interest that has been accrued on the principal for T years. So let's look at a question that we have. If $10,000 is invested at a simple annual interest rate of 6%, that means every year I'm getting 6% on the initial investment. So my initial investment was 10,000. I'm getting 6% on $10,000 every year. So I'm getting $600 every year as interest. This remains same throughout. What is the value of investment after half a year? So I'm getting $600 for 1 year. So for half year, I'll be getting $300. So the value of the investment will be 10,000 is the initial investment plus 300. My answer will be 10,300. If you want to follow the formula, you can follow the formula as well, which is P, which will be 10,000 into R, which will be 6 into T divided by 2. Divided by 2 because you're doing it for half a year. Divided by 100. So you will land up with your answer as simple interest is coming out to be $300. Added to your initial investment, your amount will become 10,300. Another question that we have is, Raymond borrowed 450 at 0% interest. 0% means that whatever he has bought, same amount he'll pay back. If he pays back 0.5% of the total amount every 7 days, beginning exactly 7 days after the loan was disbursed, and has thus far paid $18 with the most recent payment made today. How many years ago did he borrow the money? So if I just look at this thing, $450 has to be, $450 has to be borrowed and has to be returned back. The return rate for this is 0.5% of the total amount every 7 days. So if I just look at it, 0.5%, if I just calculate and find out 0.5% of 450. So if I just calculate this thing out, 0.5%, yeah, 5.5. This 100 is for percent, this is for 0.5 of 450. So if I just calculate this thing out, it is giving me an answer which is coming out to be 2.25. So if I just look at this, 2.25 rupees is paid every 7 days. Every 7 days I am paying 2.25, right? And thus till beginning 7 days exactly after loan. And if I just look at it, he has paid 18 till now. So if I just look at it, 18 divided by 2.25. So 18 divided by 2.25 would give me an answer of 8. That means 8 payments he has done. 8 payments has been done. So look at it. How many days ago did he borrow it on? So the first payment was 7. The second payment would be after 14. The third payment would be after 21 days. So the 8th payment would be after 8 into 7, which is 56 days. So 56 days ago, he's borrowed the money. Now let's move on to the case of compound interest. The difference between simple and compound interest is, in case of a compound interest, the interest that I get is on the amount present in my account. Amount present in the account. It is not on the initial principal, it is on the amount present in the account. So if I have more money in my account, I'll get more interest. If I have less money in my account, I'll have less interest. It will not be only on the initial principal, it will be on the money that is already there. So if I just have to follow the formula will be amount is equal to principal into 1 plus r by 100 raised to power t. T is the number of years, where P is the principal that I started up with, R is the rate of interest. This rate of interest is in percentage, and I'm talking about a per annum rate. T is the number of time periods in year. Now, there can be a case in which the compounding is not happening annually. That means the interest that I'm getting, I'm either getting it half yearly or quarterly or monthly or weekly or daily. Then this N will affect the rate and the time and the number of times that the compounding is happening. The rate would be divided with N and the number of years will be multiplied with N. This is one thing that you will have to keep into mind whenever you are following a compound interest formula. And if you have to calculate the compound interest is the difference between the final amount and the initial principal that you started up with. However, the questions can be done even without the use of formula. So if the question is simple enough, I would recommend not to use the formula and get the answer manually. Let's look at a question related to compound interest. If an amount P is to be invested at an annual interest rate of 3.5%, compounded annually, what should be the approximate value of P so that the value of investment is 1,000 at the end of 3 years? Now, an important thing to understand is this 1,000 is the amount that you get back. After how many years? 3 years. So T which is given to you is 3 years and the rate that has been given to you is 3.5% per annum. And it is clearly saying compounded. So that means I'll have to use the formula of compound interest. Now, if I'm investing in a bank, I always get more money. So the money that I would have initially started with would have been less than 1000, eliminating option number D. So if you want to use the formula, you can use the formula. The formula is amount is equal to principal into 1 plus R by 100 raised to power 3. So you can use the formula as 1000 is equal to P into 1.035 cube. So now, since calculators are already provided to you, you can do the calculation using the calculator. 1.035, you can solve for the cube of 1.035, and if you just solve it out, that value comes out to be approximately equal to 1.1087. If I just take this much value is equal to 1000. Again, calculator is there with you. So you divide 1000 with 1.1087 and you will get your answer. If you solve it out, something close to around 901 point something, because I've truncated. So the value of P that you should have invested would be $900. If you invest $900 today and you get a compound interest of 3.5% per annum, you will get $1,000 at the end of 3 years. This is how the calculation goes. If you don't want to do it this way, you can do it with options as well. One option is anyways eliminated. Now there are 3 options that you have. Always start with the middle value. So if I start with 900, multiply it with 1.035 cube, this is anyways coming out to be approximately equal to 1000. So that gives you your answer. Had it not given you your answer, you could have moved to 800 or 950 depending upon if your answer is more or less than 1000. Let's look at the next question. A college student expects to earn at least $1,000 in interest on an initial investment of 20,000. So there are 2 things which are given to you. One is the initial investment, which is the principal. The principal which is given to you is 20,000 rupees. And the total interest that he earns is 1,000. Okay. At least 1,000 in interest on an initial investment of 20,000. If the money is invested for 1 year at a rate compounded quarterly. Now, the time that I have is 1 year, but the compounding is not happening annually. The compounding is happening quarterly. What does that mean? After every quarter, the interest is calculated and added into your account. So in the beginning of the next quarter, your principal would be increased because you already got your interest into your account. What is the approximate least annual rate that would achieve the goal? That is the question that we have. So I have to find out the rate that is there. And compounding means quarterly means there are 4 quarters in a year. So compounding would have happened 4 times. Now if you want to go ahead with the formula thing, the formula for compound interest, you don't have a formula, you have a formula for amount. Amount is equal to principal into 1 plus R by 100 raised to power n. So amount here would be principal plus the money that you've accrued. So if I just want to put it up, this will be 21,000 and your amount that you started with would be 20,000. 1 plus R by 100 raised to power 4. Why raised to power 4? Because the compounding is happening quarterly. So the rate that you would get here would be also a quarter rate, which has to be multiplied with 4 to get you your answer. So if I just try to solve this thing out, 21 divided by 20, I get a value of 1.05 is equal to 1 plus R by 100 raised to power 4. Now there are 2 options that I have. One is I can take the 4th root of 1.05 if that is possible. So I'll take 1.05 and I'll take the 4th root. 4th root means you take the square root and again you take the square root of this number. So you can do that thing. If you once take the square root, it is coming out to be 1.024. So again 1.024, you take the square root, it is coming out to be 1.0119. That will be the value of 1 plus r by 100. So subtract 1, the value of r by 100 would come out to be 0.0119. So, or 0.0119. So if I multiply it with 100, I am getting a value of 1.1%. So this is a quarter rate. This is a quarter rate. So an annual rate will be 4 into this. So 4.4% has to be the minimum rate that has to be offered. With the 4%, I cannot get my answer because it will be less, and I need at least, so I need more than that. My answer would have been 5%. We hope you've enjoyed this video. Please like our video and subscribe to our channel on YouTube. You can visit our website edusathi.com to practice more questions on this topic and access other useful information. Like us and follow us on Facebook and Twitter to get exam related information and other such updates. We wish you all the best for your preparations. Thank you and have a good day.